Eating disorder recovery was nothing like what I expected. So I'm making this video today to tell you about my expectations and what really happened so that you can have the upper hand against your eating disorder in recovery. Hi, I'm Sarah, I'm 16, and I would say that I'm recently recovered from an eating disorder. You might know my story because I had a video about my eating disorder story, but recently YouTube took it down. I'm thinking of putting it back up somehow. But for a brief backstory, I was struggling with thoughts about my body and exercise and food since I was around 5 or 6, and I took healthy eating or clean eating more seriously when I turned 11. And then when I got social media, I learned about calorie counting, and man, social media is a great place to compare yourself, isn't it? So I really believe that social media and learning about calorie counting helped me restrict and compare more, to the point where my eating disorder just got worse and worse and worse. And then there was recovery, and then there was relapse and recovery and relapse again. And finally, there was true recovery from within that brought me to where I am now. I finally started recovery when I realized that my life had just gotten so miserable that even if I were to have my scariest body, or like the body that my eating disorder feared the most, I would still be happier if I just didn't have an eating disorder, because my eating disorder diminished my health, ruined my relationship with my parents, made me not enjoy absolutely anything, not even hanging out with my favorite friends. I was always having issues with my health, like I was always cold, I was anemic, I had heart issues. Nothing was worth it. All right, now let's get into what I expected from eating disorder recovery. My first expectation was that I would miss my old body and my old ways of being so much if I started recovery. Like, I figured that if I start gaining weight and eating my fear foods on a regular basis, I would really miss the way I was when I was struggling with an eating disorder, because I genuinely couldn't understand where any extra weight would go if I had gained weight. I was severely underweight, but I still thought that I was big enough. Where would the extra fat go? And I also couldn't grasp the idea of living a life where you're not afraid of what I would call fear foods like pizza or ice cream. I also thought that I would look really ugly if I gained more weight. Thought that I was already big enough. Like, I thought like I looked like every average girl my age, when really I was a lot thinner than most girls my age. Now, please note that I am not trying to say that fat or chubby people are ugly or weird. When you have an eating disorder, your mind is trying to distract you from something else that you don't want to think about or feel. They're coping mechanisms. So to distract you from what you don't want to think of or feel, your brain creates random stupid rules that you have to follow so that you think about them. Like, oh, we're going out to dinner. Oh no, the oil, the calories. Oh, I'm gaining weight. Oh no, we got to stay at this certain weight. It's random things that your mind convinces you that you have to do, but you really don't. But you really believe that you do. Another thing that I expected going into eating disorder recovery was that I would lose my identity. Now, like I said, eating disorders are coping mechanisms to deal with other things that you don't want to think about or feel at all. So, since you're thinking about your eating disorder literally all the time, like no joke, all the time, what am I going to eat then? How am I going to exercise? Oh my goodness, I have to burn this off. Oh my goodness, is my wrist a little bit bigger than it was yesterday? Since you're thinking about it all the time, you don't think about the hobbies that you like or don't like, or think about trying new things or evolving as a human being. Really, your identity becomes your eating disorder. So recovering from an eating disorder to me meant that I would lose my identity. I also stupidly attached my eating disorder to my identity in a way of pride, not just because I was thinking about it all the time, but because it made me thinner than everyone and healthier than everyone. That's obviously a lie, but that is what I believed. And the last expectation that I had, I thought that I would be motivated throughout the whole recovery process. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I wasn't. But that's okay, and I'll tell you why. Now, here's the part where I'm going to give you the upper hand. I'm going to tell you all the reasons why those expectations were wrong or totally worth being ignored. Firstly, like I said, I expected to miss my old body and my old ways of being. Now, I've seen that other people online sometimes miss their old bodies, but still would never go back to them in the long run because recovery brought them a much better life.
Won't kill her, right? my gosh, this would kill her.
This is so fun!
I am a horrible daughter. I'm going back.
I am never going back!
I am a despicable human being.
Best!
And for me, I don't miss it ever at all. Like, I would not trade the life I have now for the life I had back then just to have that body again. Like I said, my relationship with my parents was absolutely destroyed. I was always cold. I was always angry. I had no interest in anything. Now, of course, there were moments during recovery where I felt like slightly regretful, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just ate a piece of milk chocolate. And oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm so full and my parents want to have pizza for dinner. That was actually like a really hard day. Like, I was so full and I ate so much food, and then my parents wanted to order one of the most challenging fear foods for dinner. I did it. It was fine. But, you know, in those moments when it was really hard, it was hard, but in the long run, it's so much better because now I know that if my parents want to go out to eat somewhere, it's cool. If I want to go out to eat somewhere, I'll say it and we'll go, and I'm not afraid to go out with my friends. I'm not afraid to eat unhealthy foods. I'm okay with not exercising. I'm happier. I wouldn't give anything to go back to the way I was before. Also, as I said before, and I say this all the time, eating disorders are coping mechanisms. So during recovery, you learn to manage that other part that you don't want to think about or feel. You learn to accept it or move on or heal that. And so you want to engage with your eating disorder less and less in the recovery process. Not just because you're challenging your fear foods and it's like exposure therapy, but also because you're actually dealing with the part that gave you an eating disorder in the first place. Now let's attack the expectation I had that was I thought I would look bad if I gained weight. First of all, I don't think I look ugly. I mean, I think I look great. Like, of course, we all have days where we don't like the way we look. Like, I hate the fact that I have acne. And, you know, I had moments during recovery when I didn't like the way I was looking and the way my body was growing. But now I feel quite confident in who I am when it comes to the way I look and just who I am on the inside. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, Sarah, you're confident. I'm not. I think I'm ugly. And again, in eating disorder recovery, you are not just forcing yourself to gain weight and forcing yourself to overcome fears regarding food and exercise. You are also challenging your thoughts around the way your body looks and around food and exercise. You're starting to train your brain to remember that you are beautiful for reasons absolutely unattached to your body. And everyone says that what is on the inside is what is important. And I feel like since people have said that so much, we just kind of don't even think about it. But it's genuinely so true. You realize that you care less about the way your body looks because you learn that that is not what is most important to you or to anyone around you. Your body will change, but your mind will too. And they are both entirely for the better. Okay, so that other expectation that I had was that I would lose my identity. Like I said before, you are always thinking about your eating disorder when you have an eating disorder. But instead of you going into eating disorder recovery feeling like, I don't know who I am, I think you should try and look at it as an opportunity to evolve and see who you are. I mean, if you've been struggling with an eating disorder, you might not really know who you are really, like what you like, what your interests are, what your true personality is like when you're not completely distracted by your eating disorder. So you can take this opportunity to learn new things, meet with new people, try new hobbies, and just see what you like and what you don't like. You losing your eating disorder as an identity is not a loss at all. It's probably the greatest gift. Because wouldn't you rather meet your potential character rather than struggle with an illness for the rest of your life? The other expectation that I had was that I would be motivated the whole time. No, like just no. I started recovery and I was like, I want to do this. I want to change my life. I will gain the weight. I will challenge my fear foods. I want to fix all that is wrong. Recovery is not linear, and I feel like no one talks about that urge to give up in recovery sometimes, especially in those really hard moments where you feel like it's not worth it. So like I said before, there were moments where I was really full or I was really scared of challenging my fear foods. I didn't think that recovery would be worth it anymore. I just thought to myself, if I relapsed once or twice, then I already learned that going back to my eating disorder is actually not better than what I'm doing now. Because it was like, yeah, I relapsed and I went back to my eating disorder the way I wanted to. That's the way I felt at the time. And then look where I was. My life was miserable still. Things only got worse with my relationships and with my health. And I came back to recovery because recovery was the answer. Recovery was what I needed. So in those hard moments, I would think to myself, okay, I've already relapsed. If I relapse again, where am I going to end up? Like, things are only going to get even worse. I might just go to a hospital and stay with an eating disorder forever. When I reminded myself of the reason why I was doing this, I stayed determined, because doing hard things is not about being motivated all the time, because motivation comes and it goes. But what you really need to have is the determination, that push to do things even when you don't want to do them. So I ate the scary foods even when no one was watching, because I knew that's what I needed to do for me. And I ate more even when I felt like my body was looking bad, because I knew that that's what I needed to do for me. Now, instead of you going through the same experience, starting recovery and relapsing, and then starting again and relapsing, and then starting again and realizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't relapse again, instead of having that same story as me, learn from my mistakes. Take the upper hand. I am giving it to you. Just push through. It's so much easier said than done. I know recovery is so hard on your body, on your mind, but it is so, so worth it. And the sooner you do it, the better. The longer you get to live a happy and healthy, beautiful life, the life that you deserve. Thank you guys so, so much for watching. I really hope this video helped you in whatever way you need. And I highly recommend that if you are struggling with an eating disorder, talk to someone about it. If you can, talk to a professional, because I am here to help you as much as I can, but I am not a professional. I'm just sharing my experience and my advice. Also, comment down below what you expected from eating disorder recovery versus what actually happened. Thanks again for watching, and I really hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!